I believe that 2025 will be the year that AI voice agents achieves mass adoption. And this perspective doesn't just come from my hands-on experience implementing AI voice agents for businesses, but it also comes from my analysis of the broader market trends that are shaping up this technology. And so in this video, I will break down the current state of AI voice agents, how far the technology had come, and where it might be heading next. And then I will share with you 3 reasons why I believe that 2025 will be the perfect time for businesses to start incorporating AI voice agents into their operations. Let's get into it. Just like with any new technology, AI voice agents don't just appear one day and get adopted immediately by everyone, right? In fact, it usually takes years, sometimes decades, for any technology to go from invention to mainstream adoption. And while we cannot precisely predict how quickly a new technology gets adopted, every new technology goes through a similar journey, similar phases demonstrated in this technology adoption curve right here. So the technology adoption curve is a model that explains how new technologies are adopted by different segments of the population over time, and it divides the adopters into 5 categories, as you can see right here. First, we have the innovators, which roughly accounts for 2.5% of the population. These are the tech enthusiasts that are eager to experiment with pretty much any new innovations that they can get their hands on, and as you can see, this is the minority. And then we have the early adopters. These are still the people who are sort of visionaries who see the potential of technology quite early and are willing to learn and invest in them early as well. And this group is slightly larger than the innovators group, but it's still the minority. And then we have the early majority, which are the pragmatists who adopt technologies, but only once is proven enough. And then after the early majority, we have the late majority, which accounts for a similar percentage of the population. These are the skeptics that only adopt new technology when it becomes very clear and apparent and even necessary to them that they need to adopt this technology to conform to the norm. And then finally, we have the laggards, right? These are the more traditional people who are quite resistant to change and only adopt a new technology when it's absolutely forced on them, when they realize that, oh, if I don't implement this technology, then I'm left behind. And as you can see, this curve shapes like a bell, similar to the normal distribution, where it represents the sequential growth in adoption of the technology. And this gap over here is quite important. It is commonly known as a chasm. This concept was first introduced by Jeffrey Moore back in 1991 in his book Crossing the Chasm. And this chasm is important because it represents a gap between the early adopters and the early majority. And while the early adopters are willing to take risks upon unproven technology, the early majority needs assurance that the technology is reliable, beneficial, and cost-effective to them before adopting it. And the gap is important also because, as you can see, that once a technology crosses this chasm, it can access a very large percentage of the population that become willing to adopt the technology. And many technologies actually fail to cross this chasm because they cannot convince the early majority to adopt. So things like the Segway, 3D TV, and arguably even cryptocurrency are examples of technologies that promise a lot in the beginning but struggle to cross the chasm and really got into mainstream adoption. With AI voice agents, however, I believe that the technology will not only cross the chasm, but it will also do it this year in 2025. And if we look at the level of competition as well as investment in the space right now, we can get a glimpse of where the technology is on that curve, right? So let's first look at the competition in the space. And so if we look at the market right now, we can see many different AI voice agent companies that are currently operating in this market, from established voice agent development platforms like Air, Blend AI, Synthflow, Vapi, Retail, to lesser known platforms like Cinderin, which not many people might know about, but they actually has really solid technology and adoption behind them. And then we also have other companies that were originally in almost like a diagonal space to voice agents that are also extending into voice agents, like 11 Labs, who originally provides AI voice infrastructure, specifically text-to-speech. They recently announced their conversational AI features that allows developers to build AI voice agents directly on 11 Labs. We also have VoiceFlow, which was originally a chatbot development platform. They also recently built their own voice AI feature that is currently in beta. And then there's also OpenAI Realtime API that got released in 2024 as well, which opens up an entirely new spectrum of possibilities for voice agents with their speech-to-speech architecture. And I will explain exactly why this is such a breakthrough later on in this video. And that's not even mentioning dozens of other SaaS companies that had incorporated voice AI into their platforms for specific verticals and niches, such as financial services, healthcare, hospitality, logistics, and so on. And so all of these companies, whether they are voice agent development platforms or vertical SaaS that incorporate voice AI into specific industries, all this company with really talented and capable people behind them, they all realize the huge potential of AI voice agents and have all decided that they want a piece of the pie. And not just the companies, if we look at the investors as well, they are also throwing a lot of money behind voice agent platforms. For example, Vapi recently raised a 20 million Series A, and then earlier in the year, Retail also raised a seed round of almost $5 million. And then not just the voice agent development platforms themselves, but other voice agent infrastructure companies are also benefiting from this wave, like Hemming AI, an automated testing solution for voice agents, which I had covered in a previous video. They also recently raised a seed round of $4 million. Okay, so now that we have talked about the level of adoption, competition, and investment in AI voice agents, let's discuss why I believe 2025 will be the year that AI voice agents will cross the chasm and begin achieving mainstream adoption. First, let's talk about performance. So, what makes a good AI voice agent? Well, in my personal opinion, a good AI voice agent would be one that can participate in a conversation in a way that is indistinguishable from a human. And what do we do as humans in a conversation? We first listen, then we think, and then we speak the response, right? And right now, AI voice agents can already do all those three tasks really well. So the approach that is most commonly used to build AI voice agents, the one that you are probably familiar with already using platforms like Vapi or Retail, is what's called an orchestration or pipeline approach. And so the way that this approach works is that in the backend, the system would facilitate between three types of modules, right? First, we have speech-to-text modules. This component transcribes the spoken words of the user into text in real time, enabling the AI to basically hear what the user is saying and process the input, turn that into text. And advanced modules like DeepGram's Nova 2, OpenAI's Whisper, or Amazon Transcribe can already handle diverse accents, noisy environments, and even multiple different languages with very high accuracy. And so, they listen to the audio and then they convert that into text. And then what the system does next is that it feeds the text, the output of speech to text, into a large language module or an LLM, such as GPT-4o, Claude, Gemini, and so on. These modules will understand the text input, interpret the context based on the system prompt, that we provided, also with the context and the directions, and generate a meaningful response. And the LLMs excels in tasks like answering complex queries, personalizing the conversations, and even performing multi-step reasoning, making the AI voice agent basically capable of thinking, right? Handling intricate customer questions or interactions. Okay, so the LLMs accept the text, process it, and generate a response also in text, and then it pass on that text response to the final piece of the puzzle, which is a text-to-speech model. And modern text-to-speech models like 11 Labs, Katija, or PlayHT can produce natural sounding speech that includes emotion, intonations, and adaptive pacing, creating a conversational experience that feels human and engaging. And in 2024, all three types of modules have seen some really impressive improvements, both in terms of quality and responsiveness. With speech-to-text, for example, models like DeepGram's Nova 2 had achieved a word error rate of only 8.4%, which means that for every 100 word that it listens to, spoken by a human, it only get around 8 words wrong, which is quite impressive. And it can do so really quickly as well, with a processing speed of 150 milliseconds. This sets a new benchmark for this type of model in 2024. Meanwhile, the LLMs have also continued to improve drastically, and you guys probably heard a lot of news about LLMs since it is the most commonly known and prominent layer of all these different technologies, with models from OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, Meta. They are competing very aggressively with each other to a point where it feels to me like there's a improvement in speed and intelligence almost every quarter now. And then with text-to-speech, just last month, 11 Labs just released their Flash version 2.5, their latest text-to-speech model that can generate human-like speech in just under 75 milliseconds, the fastest of its kind of this technology so far. So as you can see, the level of competition and investment that I mentioned earlier is really fueling this technology to get a lot better and really, really quickly. And finally, in 2024, we also had probably the biggest breakthrough that we have seen in AI voice agent comes in the form of the release of the Realtime API by OpenAI back in October 2024. And why is this such a big deal? Well, if you remember the orchestration layer, how it works is that it facilitates between getting the voice, the audio from the user, translating that into text, and then the LLM process that text and then speak that text using a text-to-speech module. And there's always that conversion layer of having to translate audio into text and then back to audio, which results in more latency and also a potential loss of the human's emotion, emphasis, and accents that can only be interpreted using the audio itself and not from text. And so now with the Realtime API, instead of having to go through 3 different models, 3 processing steps, like I explained before, the model now can accept voice input and return voice as output directly. And compared to the previous approach, their cons are the pros of the Realtime API. First and most importantly, the latency is reduced by not having to go through various different models. Second, this approach enables us to incorporate the user's emotions, emphasis, and accents into the model, allowing it to generate a response that takes all of that verbal context into consideration, something that the previous approach can do, because whenever we transcribe the voice into text, we lost all of that. Okay, let's do a quick demo. A conversation with an AI voice agent built using the latest version of the Realtime API.
Hi there, welcome to Sakura Izakaya. How can I help you today?
Hey, I was wondering if you guys have any vegetarian options on the menu?
Absolutely. We have a variety of vegetarian options. You can enjoy dishes like our vegetarian roll with avocado and cucumber, our vegetarian ramen with tofu and a medley of vegetables, or our vegetarian stir fry with seasonal vegetables.
Okay, what
We
time do
also
you
offer
guys open until?
We are open until 10 p.m. from Monday to Friday and until 11 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday. Would you like to make a reservation?
Yeah, sure. So only within a few months, AI voice agents have improved drastically in terms of performance, from the voice emotion to the ability to handle interruptions to the latency itself. I will have another video out soon to talk specifically about how you can build an AI voice agent with the Realtime API, so stay tuned. Now, one of the questions that I got asked the most is how much does it cost to implement an AI voice agent? And the good news is, even though the technology has gotten much better in 2024, as we discussed with the performance, it's also becoming more and more affordable. And this is due to the high level of competition, as well as a lot of the investment being funneled into AI voice agents, as well as its enabling technologies. Let's take LLM for example. When OpenAI released the GPT-4o mini model back in July 2024, it is said to be almost 60% cheaper than the previous lightweight model, while being better in a lot of ways. So as you can see here, the input context window gets larger with GPT-4o mini compared to Turbo. And if we look at the benchmarks, it basically blew GPT 3.5 Turbo out of the water in almost every respect. Right? So the LLMs are getting better while getting cheaper, and it's the same case for Anthropic's Claude, Google's Gemini, and Meta's Llama as well. They are all getting cheaper while getting faster and more capable. Another example of the cost of building AI voice agent becoming lower is the Realtime API itself. So just a few weeks ago in December, OpenAI released an update to the Realtime API, which sees the model becoming much more affordable while becoming more efficient and capable as well. And we are already seeing that price decrease being trickled down, being reflected inside of the voice agent platform level itself. For example, with retail just a few days ago, updating the pricing adjustment of the new models, including Realtime 4.0 and Realtime Mini. Another factor that will play into the lowering cost of AI voice agent is the high level of competition in the space. So as I showed you guys previously, there are many players currently in the voice agent space, with likely even more to come in the future. And as they compete, the pricing will undoubtedly be an important factor of differentiation for these platforms. So take Retail AI for example. The platform has seen massive adoption recently, even though it was arguably behind Vapi at the beginning of the year. And part of the reason for this adoption to me is their pricing, which is more attractive compared to Vapi. And this level of fierce competition is really great news for both developers as well as businesses who are looking to implement AI voice agent in their operations, since it allows us to build better agents for lower cost. So even though AI voice agents have been getting better and cheaper at the same time, it probably wouldn't matter if it's super difficult and complex to implement AI voice agents, right? Well, before 2024, it was indeed quite complex and difficult to integrate all of these different moving parts required to build an AI voice agent. So, the three layers, as I mentioned previously: speech to text, LLM, and text to speech. And if you want to connect that to a phone number, you would need to integrate all that with a telephony provider as well, in a way that is seamless and reliable. Therefore, back then, meaning before 2024, building just a basic AI voice agent probably required a very skilled software engineer to spend countless hours and write thousands of lines of codes just to get it to work properly. Now, the process is much simpler thanks to development platforms like Retail, Vapi, and 11 Labs, and so on. So, these platforms allows us with the orchestration layer that helps streamline the integration of these components into a cohesive system. They managed to abstract much of the complexity of the building process by offering us with pre-built APIs as well as user-friendly interfaces without having to code in order for us to build an AI voice agent. And with these platforms, tasks such as fine-tuning the speech recognition, choosing the right voice, and then configuring them to your liking, configuring different speech options, setting up the knowledge base, and so on. All this can be accomplished in a fraction of the time without the need to write extensive code compared to before. And this democratization of AI voice agent development not only reduces the implementation cost, but it also accelerates the time to market and making it much more accessible for businesses of all sizes to deploy advanced and reliable AI-driven solutions, especially compared to previously. And it is not only easier to build AI voice agents, but it's also far more convenient to integrate them seamlessly into a business existing systems like CRM, database, calendar, thanks to automation platforms like Make, Zapier, Anyden, and so on. Now, this is not to say that building AI voice agent now requires no effort and no skill. Quite the opposite. The key skills simply shifted from the technical coding to the strategic configuration and system design, right? With a focus on understanding the business workflows, optimizing the user interactions via prompt engineering, and fine-tuning the AI to align with the specific goals and actions that the business requires, while the tooling, the platforms, handle much of the technical complexity for us. If you are interested in learning how to build AI voice agent that not only engages in natural conversation, but can also do tasks like lead qualification, appointment booking, product recommendation, feel free to check out other tutorials that I have on my channel where I dive deeper into the building process of these AI voice agents. Now, you might say that I'm a little biased because of what I do within my agency, and I can understand why you would think that. That being said, I genuinely believe in the transformative potential of AI voice agents to revolutionize how businesses operate in 2025, and that comes not just from my personal passion, it also comes from a lot of the signs that I have presented to you guys when looking at both the macro and the micro trends in the market. And besides all of the research and analysis, I also feel really bullish on AI voice agents due to the insights that I have gathered from speaking to and working with a lot of business owners who are actively exploring and adopting AI voice agents in their real businesses. And so, yeah, I really believe that this is a very exciting time for us to be in this space. And in 2025, you can expect to see more of me and of this channel where I will create more content to talk about how AI agents, specifically AI voice agents, are shaping up the future of businesses. And that's it from me today. I will see you guys in the next one. Have a great 2025 ahead and stay curious. Bye.